Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pretty Little Liars podcast for episode 19 from season 4, Shadow Play. I am your host, Dom, and with me I have my co-host, that way, Umikins. No, you're not Umikins.
No,
Michael.
no, I'm filling in for Omikins.
You are.
I am husband of Omikins, filling in on a show that I do not watch,
No,
but I'm manning through it.
you're manning through it. I'm totally messing up.
For the good and the glory of this podcast.
Yes.
I love my wife. For other epic things I can't think of right now because I have alcohol in my system.
Perfect. So
Not related to the show, just I was at a party.
Yeah. Come on. It's perfect. Perfect. We were a little late recording this episode due to weather circumstances and holidays and yada yada.
Holidays, weather, surprise birthday parties, really shitty internet, which is supposedly fixed right now.
It looks much better. You're not pixelated or robot, so.
Yeah, apparently when they cut off the end of the wire to put a new connector on, it was corroded this far up the entire coaxial cable.
Wow. So yeah, there you go.
There was my problem.
Yeah. So what did you think of this episode?
Black and white, and
It was black and white. The whole, not I shouldn't say whole, but 90% of this episode was in black and white.
I got a very it was like, obviously it was supposed to be like what do you call it?
Hallucination.
No. Film noir-esque, like
film noir
detective novel.
It's
Stuff
kind of like a
that.
1940s film noir episode.
Yeah, who was that actor? It kind of got me. What was this was a very Spencer-centric episode,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't the actor Spencer Tracy star in a lot of movies like that?
The actor who played Spencer?
No. There was an actor. He died in the '60s. His name was Spencer Tracy.
I don't know.
I'm looking him up right now, so I just wanted to mention
Spencer
that
Tracy, yeah.
while I came out with that.
Yeah, so it very well may have been a nod at that. He says that he had a screen career that spanned 37 years.
So he could have possibly done a movie like that.
Yeah.
But it was just a thought, like a commonality that picked to mind, and I thought, oh, cool.
Yeah, so the two parts of this episode, we had the colored aspect, and then we had the black and white. So the black and white, it got to the point where Spencer's so tired now. She's been on this medication. She's been hot on the trail of Ezra, trying to figure out if he's A or not, and she's been taking this medication to stay awake because she doesn't want to go to sleep for whatever reason. She wants to figure this out. So she's been popping these pills left and right, and it's gotten to the point now where she's taken so many of them that she started hallucinating, and this is where this whole episode came about. It's this whole like dream sequence here going in this film noir, as we said, and I can't say that it's really surprising that they went through with this, because Arya, she is a big fan of black and white movies, and she's been talking about this a lot actually this season. So if anything, I expected this to be like in the head of Arya if they were to do it. It seemed a little weird that it was Spencer, but I guess with the drugs and whatever was on TV, it just kind of made sense. But
Yeah, I was just what was she take? Was she taking Adderall
yeah, it's some kind of speed
or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's taking some kind of stimulant, and she downed alcohol.
Yeah.
So, and she's watching an old black and white movie. Shit's gonna happen.
Yeah. So this episode was really, really odd. I'm sitting here watching the episode as she starts having this dream sequence, so to speak. I don't know if it was a daydream or if she passed out. I don't know what it exactly was, but I'm sitting here going, is all this stuff happening like in real time, and it's just being twisted in like a film noir like style telling? Like, is she actually experiencing all these things?
I asked that same question too. Is she experiencing this, and this is just like her whacked out mind interpreting it that way?
Right, so this whole episode, it felt really awkward to watch because I'm interpreting as, when I was watching it, I was interpreting as all of this was happening and she was modifying it through her dream hallucination. So then I'm looking and I'm like, Hannah is a telephone operator. Um, uh, Toby's a detective. I'm like, what? This stuff doesn't even make sense. Like, how is this translating through? And then Mona and Ezra hanging out, and it's like, is she imagining that these things are happening, or are they actually happening? And then it's revealed that they were just a dream. So none of the stuff in the black and white was pertinent to the story at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed really weird, like the way they portrayed some of these characters. Like they definitely made Ezra out to be the bad guy. Do you think that was mainly because Spencer believes he's the bad guy, so in her head it was just portrayed that way, or?
Um. Okay, if we're gonna make the assumption that this entire episode was a hallucination of Spencer and had nothing to do with tying to, you know, real events, then I'm thinking, then yeah, that was her. That's all her perception coming out. She thinks Ezra is the big bad guy, so he's the big bad guy.
Right. So then her boyfriend Toby is playing detective. He's like sneaking into her house. He had like these one-liners that you get from the classic black and white movies, and like all these weird things. But like, why do you think she pictured him as the detective? Hannah is kind of been playing detective this whole season, or I should say this second half of the season. She's been really playing a lot of the detective role, and the actual detective, I forget his name right now off the top of my head, but he Detective Wilden. No, Wilden's dead. I can't think of his name. I totally just blanked out. Anyway, he's not to be seen anywhere this episode. So I was like, I don't really. Why do you think Toby was made to be the detective?
Fuck if I know. That's Spencer's boyfriend, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, well, Spencer's boyfriend. I'm assuming he's a supportive person, a supportive man. Um, so maybe again, her hallucination put him into a very supportive role, or yeah, helping her out, detective stuff.
Yeah, Detective Holbrook. That's who it was. But
Holbrook.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see that because maybe he's being overprotective. So,
Yeah.
that the detective role just kind of seemed like the default place for him. I don't know. It seemed I was really confused by that whole thing, like why he was investigating. It seemed so weird to me. That part I think was the weirdest part of this episode for me. Everything else kind of made sense, but Toby as the detective it was so far out there for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're definitely not a series regular here. So, what did you think of Toby in that role?
I He seemed like he would fit. I don't know. It didn't seem it didn't seem odd. Like I didn't find it as anything that was just completely like, okay, what the fuck am I watching here? He does not fit it. He's not a detective. Who the hell is this kid?
Yeah.
It seemed like it would have worked for me.
Yeah.
So, but then again, like you said, I'm not a series regular. I don't know this character very well.
Right.
So for all I know, I could be wrong. But my first impression, it worked.
Yeah. See, me as a series regular, I felt it didn't work. It was just because he was playing such an opposite role of what he normally does. Because he's been kind of working with A to get information about his mother this whole season, and like Spencer's known about it. So then, him trying to like track all this stuff down and telling her to stay out of it and trying to figure out if Allison's alive, and like everybody wanted to know if Allison was alive, and it seemed a little weird to me because nobody's really questioned that up until now, and I guess it's in Spencer's subconscious because she knows Allison's alive, that it's projecting out onto other people in her hallucination. I don't know. That's kind of the way I foresaw. Like I portrayed that in my head, but Toby just seemed like so out of place to me that it was kind of distracting to me watching the episode. But I could see how for somebody who is not a series regular, where it would actually work better. So yeah. I don't know. Then we saw a lot of Mona and Ezra hanging and talking out. We know that they've had one meeting together prior to this dream, but it seemed like nothing really came out of it. Why do you think Spencer just defaults that Ezra and Mona are working together?
Calling on my limited knowledge here, but Mona, as I'm correct, they thought she was A in season 1, right?
She was A. That was confirmed.
Okay. So she was A, or the face of A, or whatever. Right. I get this explained to me by Omi, and I'm convinced that A is an organization.
Mm-hmm.
But so she was the A in the first season and second season.
I believe
first.
I believe into the second season as well.
All right,
I think she was caught at the end of the second season, and put into a mental hospital for the beginning of season 3, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I watched the first few seasons.
All right, so I'm guessing that it's set in Spencer's mind that Mona's a bad guy. Well,
Mm-hmm.
a bad girl, bad person.
Right.
So when, the thought or the mention or just the name Mona comes up, she instantly associates her with A. So if she thinks Mona was A, or Mona was A, and now she thinks Urza is the current, face of A, Ezra. Why did I say Urza? I've been watching too much Fairy Tales character in an anime. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra. So when A comes up, seeing the two of them together, cavorting and all that, talking, nothing out of the ordinary for her not fevered, but hallucinating mind.
Yep. We get to see Toby and Ezra kind of have this little scene together, which is kind of cool because typically we don't see that. What did you think about that particular scene?
It worked for me.
Yeah, I really love Ezra playing like this dark character. As I told you, I'm convinced that Ezra is not A. The popular
Mm-hmm.
theory is that he is, and there's a lot of stuff supporting that he is. I do not fully believe that it's him. Maybe he has a minor part in it. Maybe he's blackmailed. I've gone into all these theories previously, but I firmly stand by the fact that I believe he is not A. And they're just trying to make him look extra shady. But in this dream sequence, where he really got to play off that he was A, and him and Toby got to do that little back and forth, I really enjoyed that. Is that something that we typically wouldn't have seen outside of a dream sequence?
Yeah, it seemed to work very well for me. Yeah, I gotta say I enjoyed it because, from what I know, Ezra, he was. If he is A, and I've been seeing these theories abound that he is, but like I said, my theory is that A is an organization. That if one person started it, we're not going to see who this is until just before the series finale. We'll never find that out. They're just going to keep the mystery going as long as, they have viewers.
The mid-season finale that we had this season, the girls were all in this apartment that had all this stuff tracking them and Allison and billboards and all this stuff on the wall. And then when they leave, Ezra walks in and he gets mad because he sees they were in there, and he slams the closet door that has a bunch of his suits and stuff in there. So it really looks like he's A at this point. Everything is kind of pointing to it. I still firmly believe that he's not, but yeah.
If he's not, he's currently a lead player in, the organization that is A.
Yeah, I don't even think he's A at all. I think he's working independently, trying to stop A, and he's got information that he can't tell the girls for whatever reason. I'm fully believing that, but it's getting harder to keep up that front because there's just so much evidence pointing to him. But I don't know, a few of the other black and white scenes we had Paige and Emily, and they kind of had this little sex scene going on. I was totally waiting for it to do the black and white cut to the window and have the curtains blow scene, which we didn't really get. But that classic scene.
Yeah, the cliche now. It's a cliche.
Yeah. Oh, of course it is.
Anything
So,
from the 1940s is film cliche, unfortunately,
yeah.
by now. But
So, I don't know. Were you expecting that when then they started making out?
oh yeah, fuck yeah, kidding me? It would have surprised me. I mean, was I expecting it? Maybe not consciously, but on some level,
Right.
you know, I was waiting for it because now you mentioning it, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? Why the fuck didn't that happen? That would not have surprised me at all.
I
I
would
would
have
have
loved
just been
that.
like, yeah, it would have been great.
I would
It
have
would have fit well with the
completely,
whole theme of the episode.
yeah, I would have completely loved that. Um, the I don't know. I think that about covers all the black and white stuff. Um, like you definitely get to see a lot of the old school stuff. They had the fedora hats going on. You get to see Hannah. Oh, forgot to mention Hannah was playing telephone switchboard operator, um,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know. That whole scene was hysterical to me because
Alleyway spy.
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot Allie. Allie was in the play. How could I forget
Oh,
about
oh yeah.
Allison? She was in the play, hiding in plain sight, basically, which is kind of what she's been doing in real time, in the real world or whatever. She's been hiding in plain sight, but not quite to the extent of being on a play that with makeup and wigs and stuff, so people wouldn't recognize her. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of clever. But then we had like the 15-cent coffee and different things like that. So
15 cents for a coffee. Ooh, let me guess. Gas was like 25 cents a gallon.
probably even lower than that.
Well, it was probably, lower than that and filled with lovely, lovely amounts of lead.
Mm. Yep.
Leaded gasoline.
Leaded gasoline. Yeah, and then Ezra totally splurged and what, 15 cents worth of coffee
With a quarter.
with a quarter. Told him to keep the change.
10 cents tip. I mean, that's... Shit, that's a 66.6% tip right there.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, what waitress can command that percentage of tip?
I know, right? I don't know. It was crazy. But yeah. I don't know. I particularly didn't care for the dream sequence at all.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was one of those episodes that... But, I don't want to say a filler episode because it did seem to progress the main story in, the non-black and white sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could even see the black and white sequences as like an analogy or an allegory or whatever you want to call it to real-world events, at least in Spencer's mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really the episode, you can't really call it a side tracking or, filler or anything like that. It was just odd.
Yeah.
I mean, a change of pace, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with change of pace. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'll call it.
Yep. So I guess let's get back to the real world here. We'll come back to color. So yeah, the dream sequence is over. The dream is done. So we got a little bit more. My favorite scene this entire show finally aired. It was something I got to see previously on YouTube that was posted by accident. They released and it was on their Facebook page for all of 5 minutes, and I got to watch the clip a few times. It was the scene with Ezra and Arya in the car. And Ezra's like, "What are you thinking?" And Arya's like, "Oh, you don't want to know." He goes, "Try me." She goes, "It's Sunday and I got a lot of creative writing to do." And Ezra, and she's like, "Oh, I think you'll really like the story." He goes, "Oh, why is that?" And she goes, "It started out, I was really, about the hero or whatever, but then I really just started getting into the villain." And then you see Ezra getting all creepy Ezra, and he's just like, "Does your villain win in the end?" And she's like, "I don't know. Maybe. Sometimes villains win," and Ezra's like, sometimes they do.
the villains will, and that's like some epic foreshadowing right there.
So, like, they're totally laying on that Ezra is A. I fucking love it. I think the character himself just has so much more dynamic to it. Now that he gets to play this creepy role. Was he coming off especially creepy to you?
Not especially creepy, but creepy, yes.
Yeah.
Not enough for me to be like, oh god, we need like a restraining order against all children. Not to mention that isn't Arya a minor?
No, she's
Oh,
in college, or
oh,
they're in their last year of high school, I believe. Um, yeah,
okay. Cradle robbing fuck.
yeah. Basically, it's her teacher.
I know it's her teacher.
Yeah, so it's kind of creepy.
It's just the whole concept.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's every schoolboy's dream to date that hot teacher, right?
I can't say I've ever had that dream.
Have you ever
I've
had a
had
hot teacher?
twice,
And
three times,
and
three times.
nothing. You've never had any attraction to your hot teacher.
Not while I was her student, but I did 2 years later when I went back to that school. I realized, she actually was really kind of hot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I had
And it wasn't a big deal because when I was she had just gotten her degree and she'd like gotten it a year early or whatever, so she was not much older than me.
Yeah, I never
So
really had that opportunity because I was always the class clown, so that was never like something in my head to really sit there and do. I was like we had a pretty attractive English teacher, and to I'd always act out because that's me. I got to get attention. Everything on me. All eyes on me. And I remember doing something, and she had this little thing that she would call jail, and she'd send you to the corner of the room, and that was that. So she's like, Dom, go to jail. And I was like, I stood up, I grabbed all my stuff, and I was like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Then she goes, get out, and she pointed out of the classroom.
yeah,
So yeah,
and she was cute and all that stuff. And like right now, if anything were have happening there, no one would notice. No one would care. I'm 26. She'd be like 30.
yeah. Well, it's different when
I,
she's actually your teacher. That's
yeah,
where
when
where
there's
the
an ethics
repercussions are.
violation
Yeah,
there, big time.
yeah.
But
So that came to play earlier in the series. Is they kind of found out what was going on, and they had to like deny it and break up and all this kind of crazy stuff.
mm,
But yeah,
deny.
Ezra's been acting kind of shady. We see Mona go into the classroom. She collects a stack of papers. Like the girls had found our Allison's notebook, right? That was kind of the big thing. The episode begins. They kind of sneak into the classroom and they find the notebook, and then they see Mona go in and take a bunch of papers and stuff out. So it looks like Ezra regained the notebook.
Hmm.
That he was the one that collected it back when it was stolen from the cabin, and when we knew A had it, but we didn't know if it was Ezra. I kept saying it wasn't Ezra that had it. Now it's in the bottom drawer of his desk. It's in a manila envelope, whatever. I still don't think Ezra had it. I don't think he's regained control. I think it was planted there, possibly by Mona. Possibly Mona is still watching the girls. Mona saw them go in, and she went in to verify that they took the bait, and they walked out with a stack of papers. I don't know for sure. Do you think Ezra is working for A, or do you think Mona's still involved with A?
I would know it the way this show goes. I would say Mona's still involved somehow.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Ezra, I don't know. I'm taking your theory into account, and I'm taking other things I hear, and really they balance each other out almost perfectly right now. I don't know which way I'm leaning towards that. For me, Ezra could be he could be the main villain. He could be a supporting villain. He could be a a misjudged good guy trying to thwart the villain, or he could be a side villain, completely
Yeah,
unrelated to the main plot.
I think he
But
has
he's
his
got
own
nothing.
agenda.
He's just a yeah.
The
He has his own
reason
agenda. Nothing to do with A. He's just a dick.
the reason why, and I'm so adamant on this, is every time we see A doing his shenanigans at the end of the episode, which wasn't the case this time because it was back in the dream sequence, the flashback when we saw A playing around. But we see a hooded, cloaked figure with gloves. We never see the face. At this point, when they're like they're pointing all signs at Ezra. If that was the case, they would just show Ezra sitting there at the desk doing this kind of stuff. But they're not. So the fact that they're so hard when they're showing Ezra, they're pointing him to be A, and then when they're showing A and they're not showing Ezra, that is why I believe so adamantly that it is not Ezra.
Okay.
But if it was Ezra, we know that there's somebody else working with him that's sending the episode before this. There was a photographer that sent pictures to Ezra. Ezra had a computer screen with all the girls. He saw what all the girls were doing. So you could see he's up to something. He's definitely up to something. We don't know what it is, but he's 100% up to something. Like I said, I don't think he's A.
No.
But
That works for me.
yeah.
Spencer-centric episode. I can't stand her face.
Why don't you like Spencer?
I don't know. The actress, everything. She's always been like side roles in other TV shows and stuff. And I don't know. Every single one, she's just got that same look on her face. Like, whether I like the character or hate it, I want to punch her.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I can't explain it. I just look at her and I go, I have the urge to punch somebody in the face right now.
See, I don't know. I don't mind Spencer so much. I don't like Emily, and I don't like Emily's girlfriend Paige. Those are probably the two characters I hate the most.
I've seen Emily. Like I said, I've never sat down and watched a full episode, but I catch bits and pieces, watch 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and all that stuff. But I've seen Paige a few times before, and I agree. I don't like her either. It's not that I just want to punch her in the face. I don't like her face. I don't know. She came across as whiny.
Yeah.
So, I don't like whiny people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there we go. Whiny. Don't like her. Stuff.
Yep.
I'm very judgmental this evening.
I see.
I don't always judge people, but when I do, it's for no apparent real reason. No, it's on Pretty Little Liars. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that analogy.
I don't know where you're going with that either. But
my brain does not want to work.
I appreciate the effort. So this week we have a new episode of Free Fall. It's going to be episode number 20. Spencer's determined that it's finally time to tell Arya what she's found out about Ezra. But Emily and Hannah are worried about what it could do to their friend. So you have Ezra, who they're suspecting is A. They're pointing all fingers at it. Arya is still dating Ezra. The other three girls, they're kind of all together in the fact that they think it's Ezra. Arya is not. She's in love with him. She's stuck in her own little world, and I don't think she's going to believe it. How do you think she's going to take it?
Not well. Unless Ezra does something to make him seem shifty in her eyes, she's not going to take it very well.
Do you think she's going to take Ezra's side, or do you think she's going to stick with her friends? How does that, in my personal experiences in real world, is if you tell somebody that's in love that something shady, something shifty going on with they don't react well, they lash out on you, and then when they find out for themselves, they come crawling back.
Yeah, it depends on if Arya actually loves him and, the whole chemical process is diluting her brain and clouding her judgment, then yeah, she's going to not take it well, lash out at her friends, be a total bitch, and then, when Ezra turns out to be the bad guy, she's going to be, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, it looks like, as the synopsis goes, that we may not get to see that quite yet. It says a wrench is thrown in the plan when Ezra tells Arya about his concern and suspicion of Spencer's recent addiction problems. So, basically, to cover his own ass, he's ratting out Spencer. So, it's very clever, Ezra. Very clever. Now, with Spencer's credibility being questioned, can the girls trust what Spencer has been telling them about Ezra? So now it seems like it's not just Arya that's going to be questioning his credibility, it's all the girls. So all the stuff that she's been telling them about Ezra, it seems like all that's going to go out the window and they're not going to believe it. So, and it says, could all this be a figment of Spencer's tired brain, or really just a clever plot by Ezra to cover his tracks? I believe it is a clever plot by Ezra.
I think it's a clever plot, but I think it actually is a somewhat combination of both of them.
Yeah. It says that Spencer's going to look her worst this episode. So you could see the drugs and lack of sleep is really going to get to her.
I love these arbitrary notes. Spencer will look hard worse this episode. Veronica will have a good scene with Spencer. Hannah and Emily will have a scene together. There will be a scene with a zoo.
I like zoos.
Just like Brad is like, there will be a scene with a zoo.
I like zoos.
How is that pertinent?
It just is. Just trust it.
I trust it. I saw those notes. It works. It fits. Whatever. There will be a zoo.
I like zoos. Do you think there's going to be monkeys in the zoo?
I know, it's like, like, zoo. Yeah,
what animals do you think we're going to
bears.
see? You think we're going to see polar bears?
Maybe some giraffes, depending on
Rhinos?
how big the zoo is. Maybe some rhinos. Maybe an elephant. Definitely some monkeys, because all zoos have monkeys. The zoo's got to have monkeys if it's worth a damn. Sea lions and porcupine. You can see porcupines in the wild, depending on where you live.
You can see all the animals in the wild, depending on where you live. Except for lions. You're not going to be able to see them much longer.
Well, wow. Depressed much?
There's very, very few lions out there. There's maybe like 2 herds of lions out there. So, yeah, unfortunately, most of... See, that's the thing that that gets me. Now that we're on the topic of zoos, then we're really off topic of the show. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. It's my job.
You have all like the animal activists that are like, you can't keep these animals confined, like this is wrong, and if they didn't do that, like look at the giant panda, for example. It would be extinct right now.
Mm-hmm.
It would 100% be extinct. There are no giant pandas. Zero living in the wild right now.
That they know of.
Right. And
because you think giant pandas, they're from China. China is a massive fucking place.
It's still,
it's tough.
They're pretty big animals. It's not like
and
squirrel.
If they are in the wild, they're in remote regions where few people have even laid eyes on them, and if the people who did lay eyes on them, they're just farmers going about their daily lives, and they don't talk to anybody with an internet connection.
Yeah.
So it's just
Well,
yeah.
I'd say maybe about 100 years or so, that's going to be the case with lions. There's going to be 0 lions in the wild, and they're only going to be in zoos. So, side tangent, whatever. Zoos are important.
It's a tough one. Yeah, zoos are important, but if you look, endangered species and stuff, I live in, New York City, technically, within the in the city limits. And the big story is of peregrine falcons. At one point, they were an endangered species. And then a conservationist decided, let's release a bunch into the wild around New York City, and see what happens. And, they're no longer on the endangered species list. We have too many of them. And they cut down on our pigeon population, which is also good for the city because we had too many fucking pigeons. I think we had more pigeons than people.
Yeah.
But, I've actually seen one catch a pigeon. It's just all of a sudden you're just like, oh, look, pigeons. You hear something, you look, there's a gigantic ball of feathers and no more pigeon.
Yeah, it's like the dodo bird. Like, they're gone.
Well, that's our fault.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's 100,000% our fault. I mean, some animals go extinct naturally. It's
right.
Things happen.
Right,
but I mean, at
least the zoos are doing their effort to preserve these animals. So, yeah, maybe.
I mean, there's only so much they can do.
Maybe there's mistreatment in some zoos, but for the most part, the majority of zoos are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, if the zoos mistreat the animals, fuck them. But you know what? For the most part, I am okay with zoos.
This is going to be the last part of this completely off-topic thing, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
I believe that there was a project going around where scientists took DNA from male, female, of everything, of like every known living species. It's an ongoing collection, and they are stocking the DNA, and the project is actually called something ARC. It's the ARC or something along that line, and their goal is to keep this DNA and stuff, so if they ever get to the point where they can clone things, that they can bring some of these endangered species back to life. I don't know.
Or direct encode, genetic manipulation, directly encode the DNA so that onto like some kind of blank slate embryo so that it develops into exactly what you want it to.
Yeah, so we took the DNA of a frog and filled in the holes.
Don't. That does not work. there's holes in their scientific explanation of the holes. A basic theory, yeah, sure, possible, but no.
What, did somebody go in the park and lift up all the dinosaur skirts?
Oh my God, stop quoting Jeff Goldblum. I think Omi's gonna wake up and come out here and start screaming. She hates Jeff Goldblum. I don't know why.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum is the best.
Oh God. Let's wrap this up and then I'll go to the other off-topic thing I want to mention.
Mike, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Thilladren, THILLADREN.
You can find me on Twitter at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM. You can find us both and others at tvcaptive.com, as well as ASOTV Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Gmail, and right here on YouTube. So until next week, when Umi is back and Mike is not watching Pretty Little Liars anymore. See you guys later.
Good night, all.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's 3:03 a.m. It's morning.
Oh, yeah.
Jurassic Park 4.
Damn straight.
It's coming soon.
Fuck yeah.